So, while discussing logo design, there's a couple other things that you need to take into consideration. A couple other things that you need to know about the company or the group or whoever you're designing the logo for. Alright, so we've already talked about how a logo represents a company and its products, and there's other things that the logo can include in it. Certain ideas or properties or concepts, right? But before you can decide what things to put in there, what symbolism to give it, what else it should represent, you need to talk with the company, with the group. And from that, you need them to answer some questions for you to give you a better idea of how they view themselves and how they view their products and what they value, so that way you can decide what needs to go into their logo. So, some things to consider asking would be like, can the company describe their services, their products? What are their long-term goals? And who is their target audience? If they're selling products or services to young adults, that might have a very different look as far as how they want to represent themselves and their logo than if they're targeting children or if they're targeting elderly or even just mid-age. So all of that's going to differ. And if their target audience is specifically female or specifically male, that also can change things. There's a good chance that the company already has certain branding that they are working within. And you need to know about that branding. You also need to know, are you replacing it? Or are you creating additional things that are working within that branding? So it'd be good to know if there's a certain color that they identify with, or a certain color palette. Are there certain imagery or symbols that are already associated with their brand? And do they have a certain theme? Do they have a motto, a nickname, any taglines or slogans? Some of those are things that you'll have to include depending on what you're creating. And some of them are things that might help give you ideas on what their logo might look like, depending on if that particular thing is applicable or marketable or catchy or memorable. And then as you're working within their ideas and trying to learn about their ideas to make their logo, it's not a bad idea to talk to them about and to find out about which of these three things do they value most. Is it about their tradition, their history? Is it about the company's values, their morals, what they think is right, what they think they should be providing the customer, and how they intend to do that? Or is it more about a particular story that the brand is telling, or a particular story that the product is telling? And a lot of your companies are going to value all of these, but which one is most important to them? Which one do they want their logo to imbue, their logo to really speak to? Just as it's good to know about the particular company you're designing for, it's also good to know about their competitors. Who are their main competitors? And how does this company set themselves apart from them? How are they trying to get their audience to buy from them instead of the competitors? Alongside how do they compare with their competition, how do they see themselves as far as their current positioning? Are they doing well? Are they struggling? Are they expanding? Are they happy with where they currently are? Are they just trying to keep up with their current demand? Or are they instead getting ready to expand into other regions? And that's important too, kind of going back with target audience. If they're only located in a specific area and not looking to expand, You might look into what some of that imagery means in that specific region, how people in that region might perceive different colors or different ideas or different imagery. However, if they're looking at expanding in the near future, or even on the long term, if they're planning on really keeping this as a central logo that they're going to use for a long time, what does that logo represent? What would your choices with that logo mean or feel like to other areas that they're looking at expanding into? What is their current reputation, and are they trying to change that? Are they seen as very traditional? Are they seen as very modern? Are they seen as progressive? Are they seen as a very high quality product? A very reasonably priced product? And are they happy with those things? Are you working within that same idea and trying to maintain that image? Or do they want you to change that image? Granted, you are not specifically changing that image. They should be working to change that image. But are they wanting the logo to represent a change in their focus, in how people perceive them? Just as you need to know about their company itself, you also need to know about how is your logo going to be used by the company. So is there a certain slogan or tagline that is going to go with the logo? Is it going to be accompanied by a certain phrase? Like if you're working with Nike once again, is Just Do It going to be accompanying whatever logo you're working on for them? If you're creating a logo for a particular product, is the name of that product going to be next to your logo? Is it going to be underneath your logo? Is the logo going to serve as the representation for that product name? Or is it going to be always accompanied by that product name? Are there specific colors or fonts that their brand already uses that you should be including? And are there any colors that they want you to avoid? Once you have a decent feel for the company itself, you also want to know about how they're perceiving what their logo should look like or feel like. So what words would they want to be used? So what words would they want someone to use to describe what their logo looks like in the future? If someone were to look at their future logo, what adjectives would that company want to be associated? What adjectives are they hoping that person would say? Is there a certain feeling that logo should convey? Do they want it to convey a certain warmness? Do they want it to convey family? Do they want it to convey modernness? Do they want it to convey fun or tradition? What do they want it to convey? And then having an idea or knowing what logos they like and that they feel are successful isn't a bad idea either. Because if what you are considering to be a high quality logo is different than what they consider to be a high quality logo, that could cause some issues. And then, where will this logo be used? And what materials will the logo be used with? If the logo is only going to be used on a business card, that's very different than if the logo is going to be used on a billboard. If the logo is going to be actually embroidered into a product or onto a shirt, the design might need to look different. The number of colors that are used might need to be different. And how complex the symbol is might be different as well. Will the logo be actually used on the product itself, or is it only going to be used in some of the branding documents? Will it be used with advertisements, or just on their in-company documentation? All of those might change the way you approach the project. Just as it's good for you to find out how you want their logo to feel, it's also good for you to find out how they don't want their logo to feel. So if a person were to look at the logo and use any descriptive words, are there any in particular that they wouldn't want the person to think about or to feel from that logo? And just as it's a good idea to know what logos they think are successful, it's not a bad idea either to know which ones they dislike or don't feel are successful. By taking those ideas and getting that information from them, you can better figure out what type of logo they're looking for and how to create one that fits their needs. You would then take that information and put it into a document, sort of summarizing who they are, what they need, and what they're looking for, and that would define your creative brief, which we'll look at a little bit more later.